My name is Lydia Monroe, and at 8:46 on a Friday morning, I was still the Director of Risk Analytics at Dentonvale Energy, a title I had carried for 7 years and built from nothing but discipline, data, and an intolerance for lies. 5 minutes later, I was fired. Not after the board meeting. Not after the quarterly review. 5 minutes before it began. At the time, they believed they were removing a problem. What they didn't know was that earlier that morning, during a $3.1 billion acquisition call, my microphone had never been turned off. And the system was still listening. By the time the board heard that recording, the voice destroying Grayson Bell's career would be his own. I was walking toward the 40th floor glass conference room with my laptop tucked against my ribs, the screen glowing with the final reconciliation model for the Overstepping Resources acquisition. The numbers were clean. Balanced. Ruthless in their honesty. They were also the reason I was about to be executed professionally. The executive wing felt wrong that morning. Usually it buzzed with ambition, whispered panic, the low static hum of people trying to outrun consequences. That day, it was silent. Not calm. Predatory. My heels clicked against marble, each step echoing like an announcement I hadn't meant to make. Through the glass wall, I saw them waiting. Grayson Bell, CEO for just over a year, sat at the head of the obsidian table, posture relaxed, confidence practiced. To his right, Marcus Thorne, General Counsel, already distant, already bored. To his left, Sarah Jenkins from HR, pale, clutching a thin manila folder like it could protect her. The Dentonvale logo glowed blue behind them, cold and corporate, reflecting across the glass like oil on water. It looked less like a meeting and more like a tribunal. I opened the door and stepped in. Grayson smiled, the kind that never reaches the eyes. "Lydia, come in." "Close the door." I did. The silence sealed itself. I set my laptop on the table, ready to present, ready to walk them through the environmental exposure I'd uncovered, the risks buried deep in Overstepping's filings. I assumed this was a final review. A last chance to be heard. I was wrong. "We've decided to let you go," Grayson said, casually, like he was changing a lunch reservation. The words didn't land at first. They floated, meaningless. I stared at him, waiting for context. For irony. For the punchline. Sarah wouldn't look up. Marcus inspected his cuticles. Reality clicked into place. "Let me go," I repeated, testing the shape of it. "The board meeting is in 15 minutes. I'm scheduled to present the final risk assessment." Marcus slid the folder toward me. "The board has been informed your presentation won't be necessary. This is your severance. Generous, contingent on a standard NDA." The shock drained fast, replaced by something colder. "On what grounds?" I asked. Grayson leaned forward, fingers steepled, imitating confidence he hadn't earned. Repeated overstepping of authority during acquisition prep. It was rehearsed. Polished. A lie he'd practiced in the mirror. I almost laughed. "Almost." "Overstepping," I said quietly. "You mean flagging the inflated valuation of Wellfield 27. The same model you're presenting today." For a split second, irritation flickered across his face. Grayson was a salesman. A storyteller. He didn't like data that talked back. "You're being difficult," he said. "We need alignment." Sarah finally looked up, voice thin. "Lydia, please don't make this harder." I saw fear there. "Not for me. For herself." Marcus tapped the folder again. "Security will escort you out. Your access has been revoked." 7 years erased in a sentence. I looked at my laptop, my work now a brick. Then I looked at Grayson. "You're making a mistake." He smiled again. "That will be all." I walked out without another word. In the hallway, my assistant stared at her desk like it might swallow her whole. A security guard waited, already briefed. I packed my office in silence. Awards. A framed photo of my sister. A book I'd never finished. 10 minutes. As I unplugged my desk lamp, my eyes landed on the wall-mounted blue wire conferencing console. The system I had personally selected. The system used for all investor and board calls. The system designed for one thing above all else, permanent, auditable records. That's when the analytical part of my brain, the part Grayson had just fired, came back online. They had cut my email. My badge. My network. They followed procedure perfectly. Almost. They forgot one thing. The acquisition call earlier that morning had been recorded under my compliance protocol. Continuous encrypted recording to a secondary server. The session didn't end unless the administrator manually closed it. They had fired the one person who could do that. The elevator carried me down, numbers descending like a countdown. 40. 39. 38. I looked at my reflection. Calm. Controlled. I wasn't falling. Not really. Someone else was. The Overstepping deal had become a god inside Denton Vale. $3.1 billion. Whispered. Toasted. Worshipped. Grayson arrived from private equity promising miracles, selling a vision of explosive growth. The board wanted salvation. He gave them poetry. I gave them math. My risk model wasn't a spreadsheet. It was an ecosystem. Geological data. Satellite imagery. Compliance reports. 6 years of raw truth. And late one night, buried deep in Wellfield 27, I found it. The lie. Production curves too perfect. Reserves overstated. Maintenance logs contradicting public filings. The crown jewel was hollow. Inflated by at least 3 times. The valuation wasn't aggressive. It was fraudulent. I reported it. 40 pages. Sources attached. Recommendation clear. Grayson never opened it. He smiled. Told me to tone it down. Change the narrative, he said. I refused. That was when I became the problem. They sidelined me. Removed me from meetings. Still had me transcribe calls. Create minutes. Build a paper trail. They handed me the archive and assumed I was harmless. That's when I built Echo. A folder so boring no one would open it. Inside, everything. Every version. Every email. Every audio file. Their words, preserved. A week before my firing, I caught him. Server logs. 2:17 a.m. Grayson Bell. Admin access. Altered the master model himself. Clumsy. Arrogant. I mirrored the evidence. Encrypted it. Set redundancy. If I vanished, the truth wouldn't. So when I stepped onto the sidewalk that morning, cardboard box in hand, earbuds in, I wasn't listening to music. I was listening to them. Grayson's voice filled my ears as he opened the pre-board call upstairs. Laughing. Confident. And then I heard it. Don't worry about Wellfield 27, he said. I adjusted the model. The board doesn't need to know. They'll never audit that deep. I stopped walking. My thumb hovered. Then I downloaded the audio. Clean. Perfect. Across the street, the building stood tall and unaware. Grayson thought he had erased me. What he didn't know was that the system was still listening. And soon, so would the board. By the time I reached the small coffee shop across the street from Dentonvale Tower, the board meeting was already assembling 40 floors above me. From the outside, the building looked the same as it always had: polished glass, controlled power, a monument to certainty. Inside, it was about to unravel. I ordered a black Americano I had no intention of drinking and took a seat by the window, my phone face up on the table. At 9:58 a.m., a text came in from Clara Jennings, the board assistant. Quarterly review link is live. 5 minutes. I replied with a single word. Thanks. Then I opened the Blue Wire admin portal. My executive credentials were gone. My system administrator access was not. Oversights like that destroy empires. The interface loaded clean and familiar. Active calls. Scheduled meetings. There it was, Board Review Q3, status, convening. I navigated to server audio cache. The file sat there, time-stamped from the morning call, waiting to be purged later in the day. I didn't download it. I didn't move it. I linked it. In the live board meeting audio settings, I changed the source from room microphone array to playback from server cache. I selected the file. I set it to loop. Then I clicked apply. A green checkmark appeared. The system obeyed the last command it received. I closed the browser and slipped the phone back into my coat pocket. Across the street, the building didn't react. It never does. At 10:03, my phone buzzed. Clara again. Meeting called to order. Chairman opening remarks. Grayson is next. I imagined him standing at the head of the table, confident, rehearsed, ready to sell his masterpiece. I took a sip of coffee. It had gone cold. At 10:07, I noticed movement behind the 40th floor windows. Too fast. Too chaotic. Then my phone lit up. Something's wrong with the audio, Clara wrote. I typed back calmly. What's playing? There was a pause. Then, it's Grayson's voice. From earlier. He's talking about you. That was the moment. Confusion first. Annoyance. Someone calling IT. Then recognition. Clara's next message came fast. Now it's the part about environmental risk. He's saying the board doesn't need to know. Another pause. Oh my God. It's looping. Silence followed. Not technical silence. Human silence. The kind that falls when people realize they are hearing the truth. My phone buzzed again. A new message. What did you do? Clara asked. I waited a beat. Then replied, I just pressed play. At 10:19, I saw a man leave the boardroom and enter a corner office, phone already at his ear. One of the institutional investors. The first to protect himself. The dominoes fell fast after that. At 10:22, Clara sent the message I'd been waiting for. Meeting adjourned. Emergency session called. Acquisition suspended pending review. I leaned back and stared at the tower. The deal was dead. The god had fallen. My phone exploded with missed calls. Grayson. Over and over. Texts followed. Threats. Accusations. Bargaining. Name your price. I didn't respond. Then came the legal email. Cease and desist. Threats of prosecution. I replied with a single clause from the NDA they tried to make me sign. Void upon pretextual termination. I copied General Counsel. Then I closed the thread. The market reacted faster than lawyers ever do. Dentonvale stock dropped double digits in minutes. News alerts followed. CEO caught on tape. $3.1 B acquisition collapses. Grayson appeared in an internal broadcast, pale, calling it a malicious external breach. No one believed him. At 3:06 p.m., Clara messaged again. Formal this time. The board requests to speak with you. I didn't call. I sent them echo. Every file. Every version. Every timestamp. The smoking gun, the factory, and the receipts. At 5:02 p.m., my phone rang. A blocked number. I answered. Ms. Monroe, this is Robert Denning, independent counsel for the board. His voice was gravel and control. He asked for my statement. I gave it like a data report. Dates. Files. Quotes. No emotion. When he asked if I intentionally recorded the call, I answered truthfully. I didn't start it. I just didn't stop it. Silence followed. Long enough to matter. Then, I see, he said. The call ended. At 6:27, the alert came through. Grayson Bell placed on indefinite administrative leave. Acquisition suspended. Investigation launched. The sun was setting behind the tower, turning its glass skin purple and bruised. I felt nothing but calm. The equation had resolved. Sunday brought the verdict. The merger terminated. Regulators notified. Full cooperation promised. An hour later, Denning emailed again, requesting full documentation. I compiled it all that night in a quiet library, adding one final note I'd written weeks earlier. If telling the truth costs me my job, so be it. I sent the file. 2 words in the body. As requested. Monday morning, I sat on a bench across from Dentonvale Tower. The news played in a deli window. CEO fired amid fraud probe. Employees streamed in with their heads down. Then I saw him. Grayson Bell, alone, carrying a cardboard box. He stepped onto the sidewalk and froze when he saw me. Our eyes met across the street. No words. No gestures. Just understanding. He looked away first. A news van pulled up. Cameras rolled. His voice echoed from a speaker. They'll never audit that deep. I stood, adjusted my coat, and walked away. I didn't feel victorious. I felt correct. The truth didn't need my anger. It didn't need my voice. It just needed a microphone. And once recorded, it spoke for itself. Thank you for listening to my story. I'd love to know what you think about Lydia's choices. Was it justice, or was it revenge? Let me know in the comments below. If this story kept you hooked, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more true-style corporate stories. Your support helps these stories reach the people who need to hear them.